records never get old. Here comes the king. Here comes the king. With guitar in hand, up front in the band. Here comes the king. aching and I just can't take no more.
Test 1 2, test 1 2. All right, hopefully you guys can hear me. I think my camera froze or something. I'm not sure, but on my screen, that camera back there it's showing as frozen. Let me see. Maybe somebody put it in the chat if it did. I know I got a stupid copyright thing happen right here for sure. That's okay. There's always something that has to go wrong or to freak out. Let me see. Too fast. Yeah, it froze. It's just the camera. It's not the internet. The internet looks like it's okay tonight, but the camera back there gave me a little freezy. Let me see if I'm getting my guitar tone in here. That's cool. Kind of fucked me up when I was playing. Sorry, I swear. Because I looked over and I saw the stupid camera was frozen, so then I started not concentrating on what I was doing. So you got a few fluffs in there, brother. All right, let's tell you what I'm playing. A lot of you guys have seen this in the past few weeks when I got it. This is the Epiphone. The Epiphone Jared James Nichols. It's a P90, one P90 in there, and it does a lot of cool stuff. Causing too much feedback because I am coming through my speakers. Right now I'm running through the Helix, and I'm using a Friedman BE100 amp sim, and it's working pretty good. It's heavy. It's a good tone for that. But you can. A lot of people are afraid of one pickup guitars, or I guess one P90 guitar or whatever. But you can have a lot of tones with just that one pickup, you know, because here's a little bit less gainy. And if you just roll down the volume a little bit. See? There you get more. But even though you don't have a neck pickup, you can really make it sound like a neck pickup if you just roll down the tone. So you see, it's very versatile guitar, and it's pretty light actually. It's about I think it's under 8 pounds. To tell you the truth, I never weighed it officially, but I looked online, and everywhere, a lot of places are looking at 8 pounds or just under 8 pounds. Might be because it's just one pickup, so less electronics in it, and not sure. But the neck is really thick, though. I don't know if you guys can. Hold on. Let me move my mic so I don't bang the guitar all over it. Hold on. So you can kind of see, right? It's pretty thick. So all you guys out there that don't like these big necks, we probably wouldn't like it. But you should try it anyway, because even I don't know, it's really smooth. The edges are rolled, which is nice. For this type of guitar, an Epiphone or something in this price range, you don't really see that too often. So, and I just got a setup done on it because I had to bring the Telecaster in for its setup last week. So I brought this one in as well, just to have them have a quick look at it and give it a quick setup. And adjusted the intonation a bit, but it did come to me from Chicago Music Exchange through Reverb. Pretty well set up. I didn't have to do too much to it, so. So, anyway, let me put this away. All right, so that should be okay. I don't know what happened to my camera back there. It's still showing as frozen, but oh well, I'll have to figure that out a little later. Too many things on my plate, and I'm in the middle of a huge studio build at work, and I'll post some pictures if you're interested in seeing how I'm putting together a full multimedia studio from scratch. Just go to my Facebook page, and through my regular Facebook, not Six String Brian, but if you just go to my Six String Brian, you'll see that my accounts are linked. So just Brian Cote, if you type that in Facebook, and if you're not friends, just send me a friend request. But it'll give you a good sense of ripping down a whole studio from scratch and building a new one with, better gear, trussing, and the infrastructure set up exactly for video studio, photography studio. So if you're interested in that type of stuff, but it's super busy and stressful sometimes, just because there's a lot of configurations and, new stuff. Zach Thong, how are you doing, Zach? Zach's in the house. Nice to see you. Let me put that little graphic up. Since I do have a graphic, I should put that up once in a while. There we go. And I don't need the timer, obviously. Let me pull that out of there. And let me push that back in. All kinds of little buttons you got to press on these things. And who else we got? Oh, it's CN8800. That's my buddy John from New Brunswick. How's it going, John? Janice might be in and out. That's okay. Thanks for stopping in and checking it out. Let me see who else. Brad Egan. How's it going, Brad? I trust you're in your new house now. I hope you are anyway. In the great city of Ottawa, somewhere in that area. I went to the motorcycle show this weekend, Toronto Motorcycle Show, and man, I can't wait to get out there and ride. There were some bikes actually riding that went, because Saturday was kind of a nice day. I mean, it was still cold. It's not a day that I would have chosen to ride my motorcycle. But, if you live in the city or something closer where you can just, it's not that far to go to the convention center or something, it's fine. So there was quite a few of them out there on Saturday. But yeah, so I picked up some gear for the season, and wife picked up some boots and some gloves as well. So that's pretty cool. I can't wait to get out and ride. I'm friggin' winter's long enough there. I've had about enough of winter, so let's get out and enjoy spring. Let's see. I'm just going to kind of scroll down real quick here so we can get on with the show. The Dog Paw's in here. How's it going? And Tom Harhigh's in here. How's it going, Tom? Thrash Metal. Quick, name the guitars in this recording. I'm not sure. Let me see. Who else we got in here? James Severin. Yeah, I didn't play the custom tonight, James, but it is back there. I don't know if you can see it. It's right over my shoulder with the R9 and the R6. They're all together back there. I played a lot. The custom is probably my favorite guitar right now. Definitely a cool instrument. Let's see. Wolverine. How's it going, Wolverine? Hope you're doing well. My friend. And Dale Palmer. How's it going, Dale? Yeah, I like that song. Well, this one was done by Hailstorm, and they covered it. It's a Whitesnake song, obviously, but I played it like a few months back or whatever, and but I just enjoy playing it. So I was kind of didn't really know what to play, and a lot of times I got to do some research on YouTube to see if they'll even let me play, because even that one, it's coming up as copyright and it's saying might be blocked. Like, who knows what they're going to do. But I played it once before and they let it through. They still gave me a copyright claim, which is fine. I'm not monetized, so it doesn't bother me, but I just don't want the stream to be blocked or anything like that. So sometimes, like, I had a couple other songs that I picked that I'd like to play, but it says it's not allowed, and then you do a search on YouTube and other people have played it. So if you're playing a cover, it's okay. I don't know. It's all over the place. So let's see who else we've got in here. We got Brad Miller. How's it going, Brad? Looks like our internet is working. I'm not going to jinx it because you never know with this stupid internet setup that I've got here in this area. Freeze time, yeah. That's just the camera, so I'm not too worried about that. As long as the internet is working and I'm still streaming, that's okay. Let's see. Guitar Hack, what's going on, brother? Hope you're doing well. Sean Zimmerman's in the house. How's it going, Sean? See, I know all you guys because I see you guys in other chats, and so I kind of know everybody. Wanna31's in the house. How's it going? David Ennis. How's it going, David? And I think I've got most everybody here. Brian S. What's going on? Guitars, dudes, and dudettes listening in the car. Awesome. Don't crash. Keep the rubber side down, brother. Let me see. Frozen Fury's in the house. How's it going, my friend? Let me see what else. All right. It looks like I pretty much covered everybody. But if I didn't say hi or didn't answer a question for you, you know what to do. Just tag me in the chat and I'll get to you. Dale says he's been watching my Facebook, so he saw some cool pics of what I'm doing. Yeah, the studio build will be interesting. I'm telling you, it's a huge project, so definitely check it out if you're interested in that stuff. Brad saw a bike today on his way home from work. Roads are too wet and messy. Yeah, I know the roads are like there's a lot of sand in the roads and salt and stuff from the winter. So yeah, I always wait till probably about April. If we get some good weather in March that can get a little bit of rain to clean off the roads and stuff, that's probably the best time for me anyway. I wouldn't take my bike out today or anytime soon, but probably usually the beginning of April or mid-April is when I'm ready to rock and roll. Dogpaw says, okay, China loves metal so much that they make stainless steel that rusts. Really? Oh, I didn't think stainless steel rust. Wanda31 says Messenger Fly. Yeah, I do watch his channel, the Messenger Flyer, I think it's called. He has a motorcycle channel, covers a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was thinking of starting something separate from this stuff, doing mostly motorcycle and photography, kind of blend it together and do its own thing. But I got enough on my plate right now. It's not something that I was, you know, it'd be interesting because I do have a perspective on that stuff because I work in it and I'm a huge motorcycle guy. I've been riding motorcycles all my life. So I would have something to offer as far as content and information. It's just that, you know, sometimes you just got to concentrate on a few things and don't stretch yourself out too thin. Dogpaw, yes, I am using the Helix, and I can show you the patch that we were running tonight. It's not a very complicated patch. I showed it the other night. I did a test on Friday, and I basically showed the patch that I was using. But I was using this same patch with my Tele, and I tried it with the P90, well, the guitar I was playing tonight, the Epiphone, and it works very well. Sometimes I have to make a different patch or adjust the patch settings for different guitars and pickups, but this one seems to work on multiple, because I played with the R6 the other night on the same patch and really didn't have to make any adjustments to it, so it's working well. Let me bring up that screen. I don't know how well you're going to see this on your screens because, you know, the icons are pretty small, but let me do that. Do this, and so that you can still see my mug. Let me bring myself up in the corner there, and I can move that around a little bit. All right, about there. Oh, yeah, right about there. So I don't know how well you guys can see that on your screens, but it's a very simple patch. I always put a wah pedal at the beginning of my patch, and then I put a compressor. Depending on the sound I'm going for, the compressor will be on or off, but most of the time I leave it on because I find that it gives it more of that amp feel, more of that sponginess that I like. And then I've got 2 amp blocks in this patch. One is for like less gain, or, you know, it's more like an AC30 Vox amp. And then my gain, the patch or the amp that I was running when I played the intro tonight, the Whitesnake song, is a Friedman BE100 amp mod. And then I've got a cab. And well, this is just a mod, like it's Univibe, basically. I have it in there, but it's not on. I can turn it on and off when I need it. I just like that effect sometimes for playing blues and things. I've got a cab here. I use this cab. This is a stock cab. It's a 412 with V30s in it. And I basically activated that one only when I'm doing the Vox amp. I seem to like it paired with that. But when I go to my Friedman amp or anything high gain, I use an IR from Onammer. And it's again, a 412 vintage 30s, but it has two mic blends on it. It has a Royer 121 and a SM57 as their mics on that IR. So I like that. And then I always have a reverb and a delay. And you'll notice that I run my delay, it's a parallel path. So it kind of separates it. So if you're hitting the reverb, it kind of separates the delay and the reverb so that they're not cross blending themselves. Sometimes when you put like reverb and then you put a delay right after it, or a delay and then a reverb after it, it gets really mushy and all those echoes and effects and stuff kind of all blend in together. But if you separate it on the Helix and give it its own path, like I have here, you see it's on top of each other. They separate each other, and then when they go out through the output, it's less of a messy or washed out sound that I find. And I learned that from a guy online that does a lot of this stuff, Jason Sedite. He mentioned that, and then I just started doing that myself, and I noticed I A-B'd it with the other way, and it definitely makes a big difference. So, and that's all it is. So it's not a hugely complicated patch, but it works really nice, and it plays well with many guitars as far as pickups and all that stuff. So let me switch back here and let me pull that down. There we go. So hopefully that answers your question about if I was running the Helix and what exactly was the patch. Let me see if I got any more questions here. If not, we'll get on to some stuff. Daytona 200 March, yeah. Daytona, and also the Supercross in Daytona is a really good race to watch. A lot of guys in Supercross are getting hurt, though. Last week we lost a couple more good guys. It's a dangerous sport, man, but I love it. Let's see. Janice says one of the bars here got hit with $17,000 fine for copyright infringement. Wow. That is crazy. Wow. Yeah, I think bars actually have to pay like a licensing fee just to have music, whether it's a band or just on the PA or on the sound system playing that is not theirs, like just like a radio station would. A radio station pays a licensing fee per year or month or whatever, and they get access to a library they can play and all that stuff. But yeah, that sucks. Some bars don't, right? They get away with it until somebody from, the industry walks into the bar and notices it and then checks on it. And if they check and they see that they don't have a license or they don't pay for whatever it is they need to pay, they can get a huge fine, like you can see what Janice said there. It happened there. Wolverine says, I just sent you an email requesting that patch. Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. I don't have any problem sharing my patches with people if you're interested. Just keep in mind that when you run it on your end, you might have to do a few tweaks because obviously my setup will be a little different than yours, but the patch will come exactly the way that I'm running it as far as the settings. But depending if you're going through different, because I'm using my Yamaha studio monitors here as my listening point. So that's what my reference point, I should say. So if you've got something different in your setup, it'll sound a little different probably. So you'll have to tweak it a little bit, but not that much. Is there a visual model screen like in Amplitude? Yeah, there is a visual model screen. There's two ways you can look at the amps and the models and the pedals and that. There's like a list view, and then there's, if you press on it, the icon view gives you more of a, like what the amp looks like. So you can tell what amp it is really. They name them differently because of licensing, but if you want to look at the screen and see the actual like amp that they're showing, you can tell that's a Marshall or that's a Vox or whatever. But yeah, they do that. Yeah, Helix Native is pretty cool. I don't have it, but because I use the Helix, the actual, well, I have a Helix LT is what I have, and I'm fine with that. I just use that all the time. And now I've got it running through my, the cool thing is, I know some of you know that over the past few weeks, or a few weeks ago, I purchased a Fender Tone Master amp. I can show you that. Let me click on that so you can see. So I purchased this amp right here, and I run my Helix right out from my Helix into the front of that amp, and because it's pretty much a clean amp, it's a great pedal platform, and just running the Helix through that, it sounds amazing. Like it really sounds good. Like that patch that I'm using tonight with the IRs and the amp sim and everything, going through that amp, if I want an amp in the room type of thing, it freaking rocks, man. And it's super loud. Like I don't have to crank it that loud, and it's still, and that's not a tube amp. That's a solid state amp. It's a Tone Master, they call it. Great value for the money for these amps, and I'm really, really impressed. And if you don't want to run a Helix or whatever, you can just run a distortion pedal or a compressor or whatever, and you've got that Fender type of twin reverb type of sound if you want. I have a pedal here that I run through it a lot of the times when I don't want to use a Helix. I just want to use just one pedal, like really simple. So this is the JHS Angry Charlie, but this is the Andy Timmons pedal. And this thing sounds amazing through that amp. So if you've got pedals and you're looking for something, and this thing is super light, I think it's 24 pounds. So when you're carrying that around compared to the actual tube version, it's a big difference. But it sounds amazing. I was totally shy. Not something I expected when I went to try amps, actually. I just tried it for fun because I had heard good reviews on it. And I was pretty much blown away. And then I didn't even think about running the Helix through it. I just bought it because I wanted something different, kind of different tones and different feel in the room. Then I plugged in the Helix to it, and I'm like, holy shit, it sounds really good. And then I started tweaking it a little bit, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So let me click back here. Cosmo called. They need you to come in Wednesday. You know what? Wednesday we're supposed to get a snowstorm. I'm supposed to. Well, again, I'm doing that big studio build down in Mississauga, and it sucks if it's going to snow on Wednesday like they're saying it is. It's like 15 or 20 centimeters of snow, and it's not that that's a lot. Well, it's a lot of snow in the city because when you're in traffic and stuff, it's just a freaking pain in the arse. So I don't know where I'll be on Wednesday. I'm supposed to be in the studio building this thing, but tomorrow I'll be a full day. And Wednesday, if it snows, I don't think I'll drive down. I might just work from home that day. But no, I don't think I'll be. I don't think I need to go to Cosmo right now. Anyway, every time I go to Cosmo, it costs me money. Don't need anything right at this moment. Does anyone know if there's a sound difference between Helix Native and hardware? I don't think there is, Brad. I don't have Helix Native, but assuming you've got a good computer with a pretty high-end processor, I don't think that you have any limitations, because essentially what you're doing with a Helix or a Helix LT or any unit like that, you're running a computer in it. It's basically has what they call Shark processors. But if you've got a good Intel or AMD processor in your computer that's, pretty current, you'll be able to run these models and these effects the same way that you would if you had the actual hardware unit. So I don't think that, and I think last I checked, I think it was around $200 or maybe $300 for Helix Native. I could be wrong. These guys that have it could maybe comment in the chat there. But yeah, it's worth checking out, Brad, if it's something that, it does everything, especially for you. If you're doing recording and stuff, you would just bring that up as a plugin. You could just, if you needed a bass sound, bring up a bass amp and a cab or whatever and just run that. And if you needed a guitar sound, you have everything there. So it's pretty cool for guys like us to have our little home studios and want to do some recording, but don't have all the, 10 amps and cabinets and isolation rooms and all that stuff. So definitely check it out, man. I just don't remember what I think it's about $200 or $300. Is there a delay using software version? Dogpaw asked. I mean, again, it depends on your processor and your computer. You'd set probably the latency on through the plugin or through your DAW, right? So if you've got a good computer, I run Studio One Pro 4, and I've got my buffer at like maybe 126 or 256 or something really fast. So I don't hear it. I don't feel the delay at all if I'm using like an amp plugin or something like that. Obviously, you have no latency at all if you're going through the Helix because it's direct hardware. But I sometimes use the UA plugins, like the Marshall head or something, just for something different to play through. And I there's no latency in my opinion. I don't feel it. I don't hear it. So it really depends on the computer you're running. And I've got a pretty high spec laptop here. It's a MacBook Pro, a 2018 i9 in mine. But if you have a good i7 with a little bit of RAM in there, you'd be fine. We should all read Eric with these questions. Yeah, Eric has a lot of good information on the Helix, that's for sure. But there's tons of people out there. Like, if you just do a search on YouTube, that have done some great tutorial videos, and anything you want answered regarding the Helix, anyways, it's out there. It's not hard to find. Yeah, multi-cam setup, but I've got one cam that's frozen back there. See if I go back to it. I'm still. That's pretty funny. There I am, frozen in time. Isn't that something? Oh, there's always something. And I was playing, I had that camera on all day one day without any issues. Probably 8 hours it was on, never froze once. And it, because I was doing a bunch of testing in here. And the minute you go live and try to do something, some little gremlin pops up. It's pretty funny. Let me see. Hey, there's Joe Hervey 84. What's going on, brother? Yeah, Brian never does anything. Yeah, that can be a curse though, Brad, when you go all out for everything you do, because you sometimes overcomplicate things. Like my setup here, if you came in this room and actually looked at the setup and looked at how it's all wired in, and because if something goes wrong, tracking that problem spot, like if it's a cable or if it's an input or if it's something, can be an all day experience. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, that's my personality though. It really is that. It's all about how far can I push things and how much can I do. What are my limits as far as, when it comes to production and stuff. You should see what I'm building. When you guys see the studio that I'm building in Mississauga, you're going to be like, what is this guy? And is he running a CNN studio here or something? Because it's going to look like that. But it's all good fun. I figure if you're going to do something, put your whole heart into it. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. But it doesn't always work, as you can see in this shot here. As I guess I'm playing part of the solo at this point, or trying to, but funny stuff. And same storm hitting Michigan. Yeah, you guys usually get it just before we get it, the storms. Let's see. Okay, cool. You'll never age on that cam, Brian. Yeah, I know, right? Frozen in time. Metalhead Hippie, what's going on, brother? Joe Hervey used Cakewalk in the late 90s. I did more recording back then. Yeah, Cakewalk's a great program. It might be discontinued or something. I'm not sure. I haven't seen too much on Cakewalk. Once I used to use Reaper at first when I got back into this stuff, just for fun. But I tried the Studio One, which is what I'm using now from PreSonus, and I really like the interface, the way it's, it's really, that's what it is. They're all very good. Logic and all these programs are all great, and they all do some amazing stuff. It's just a matter of preference for the user. So when you open it up, are you comfortable with the interface? Do you know where everything is? Does it work the way that you like, as far as, how you put your plugins in and how the sliders look and all that stuff. It's more of that stuff when it comes to these software recording systems. So they're all good. I mean, Reaper is I think the paid version is $60 and it's completely full featured. But I like the PreSonus stuff because I do have I can't show it to you here, I don't think, but there's a little control surface here with a slider and stuff that looks like a little mixer, and it's all connected. It's made by PreSonus, so it works very well with Studio One. So that's why I like that. Brad, admitting your addiction and vices is half the battle. Smoke break. Oh, Joe Hervey's going for a smoke. Yeah, my connection seems to be okay tonight. I did a test on Friday night. I did a full stream on Friday. I think maybe an hour and a half stream, and it worked well then. It was just that I don't know, that Monday or last Monday, I just decided to have a bad night as far as internet, and it just would not work. Because after when we just disconnected everything and just abandoned the show that night, about an hour after, I came back and did a test, and I was still having some issues with it. So it was something last Monday that was happening. But tonight, fingers crossed, looks like it's okay. I still can't do like 1080 or 720 because of it's still too slow for that. If I tried to push that, you guys would be getting buffering. So that's why I go for 360. At some point, they're going to run the fiber line here like they're saying they will for the last year or two. They've been saying that. At some point, that will come, and once that's here, then I'll be good. I'll be able to broadcast at 1080p and really push the limits. Right now, I'm pushing the limits, and we're right on the edge of, breaking something. So keep that in mind. Dog Puss says newest cakewalk is available for free. Oh, okay. So there you go. If you're interested in that. Cubase is very good too. Yeah, I know a lot of guys use Cubase. But yeah, it's just a preference thing. They all do a lot of the same stuff. And, some guys like Pro Tools, some guys like Logic is really good. If you're in a Mac system, I was thinking of doing Logic for a long time, but I just kind of once I get used to something, especially like a studio software, I just stick with it, because if I bring up Logic, I would have to kind of relearn where a lot of the stuff is. It's just like photo stuff. I'm really good in Photoshop, and when I try something different than Photoshop, I got to relearn my shortcuts and things of that nature. So when you find something that works well, you kind of stick with that. Yeah, I gave you a heads up there, Brad, about Studio One. I hope you like it. Let me see something. I heard something here back. I have a light back here that, believe it or not, fell just about 2 hours ago when I was setting up. So it's kind of making some noise. So if you see an explosion back there with some smoke and all, don't be too freaked out. It's just my light blowing up. I don't know why. What else we got? Okay. I found Reaper is a very good program, and I think for the money you can't beat it. Frog Leap uses Reaper. Yeah, a lot of guys use it. I think Glenn from Spectre Sounds, or Glenn Fricker or whatever, I think he actually uses it, and he runs a full studio and everything. And so, like I said, they're all very good. It's just a preference thing on the interface, what you're comfortable with. Let's see. Audacity is free. The thing with Audacity, it's not the way it's laid out and stuff. I use it as well. Like when I do my video edits, I'll bring the audio into Audacity, and then I do a few things and clean it up a little bit. I'll do it with Audacity. But as far as recording, like setting up a track and bringing in plugins and all that, I just don't find it to be as good for that type of stuff, or as easy as far as the layout goes. Maybe it's just because I never use it for that purpose, so I never really dove deep into that when it comes to Audacity. But Audacity is free, and it's a great program if you just want to bring in a WAV file and just kind of, if there's noise or something, you want to bring it down and just really edit it. You can really get down to, a really precise editing. You can do it that way. But when it comes to doing multi-track recording, like I want 2 layers of guitars and I want to pan one left, one right, and you want to use plugins and all kinds of stuff, I think you're better off using something like Studio One or Reaper or Logic or that type of thing, more than the Audacity stuff, in my opinion. All right, let's see. Must be a YouTube branded light. Yeah, yeah. No, it's actually a light by Westcott, which is a really good company when it comes to video lighting and photography lighting. So, but it fell and it's might have shaken something inside that's giving it some issues. So when it cracks or does something in the background, when I hear it, it kind of like freaks me out a bit. So hopefully it doesn't blow up. GarageBand is free, yes. GarageBand is a great way to get started, especially if you've got a Mac, because it's free. So you just load it up and it has the same type of interface that another DAW would have when you're tracking. You can bring in tracks and stuff. So it's a great way to get started if you're just looking to get, your feet wet when it comes to recording. Definitely worth a look at. I did have a couple of pieces of news today regarding, music news and stuff. Back on this day, let me see if I can bring up my browser. We got to do the news thing here. So we're kind of slacking off on the transitions and stuff. So let me do that. And there we are. We're back into the news. Okay. So, a couple of cool little stories today on this day in music. Led Zeppelin on this day in 75 released Physical Graffiti. So that was a huge album. I really liked that album, actually. And that was on this day. Back on this day in 76, The Eagles was the first album to be certified platinum. It was, 100 million copies for an album and 2 million for singles. And that was the Eagles back on this day in 1976. So that's kind of cool. First time an album was certified, I guess. I don't know if that means it's the first album to reach 1 million copies for sale, or it's the first time they started tracking it and actually giving it a certification of some sort. Could be. So it doesn't really say here. It just says it was the first certified platinum by the RIAA. So it was a new certification, represented the sales of 1 million copies. So that's that. There's a couple, The Police, something here. Kurt Cobain, 92, on this day married Courtney Love. For those who remember that relationship. Pretty crazy relationship, to say the least. But that happened today, February 24th in 1992. Kurt and Courtney married, and they were actually expecting a baby that was born on September 10th. So that's that. Just kind of going through some of these news things real quickly. I'm not going to cover everything that they're reporting here. But, yeah. And birthdays, I don't see anybody that... Nothing that I know personally. But, so there you go. There's our news for the evening. We got some news in. That's always good. That means that we got through this far in the stream. We've got 15 minutes left, and we didn't have a total explosion. My camera did freeze in the beginning, but that's minor compared to the whole internet and the whole infrastructure falling. Guitar Hacks says Studio One unfortunately only works with PreSonus products. No, you can use any interface with Studio One. I'm actually not even using a Studio PreSonus interface. I'm using a Apollo Twin by Universal Audio, and before that I was using a Focusrite interface, and it all works great with Studio One. It's just if you want to get like controllers and things of that nature, you're best to buy the PreSonus stuff if you are using the PreSonus software. But you can use any interface with the PreSonus and it'll work fine. The Dogpa says Zepp changed with that album and went away I didn't like. Yeah, there was a little bit of a change after that album, I think, compared to what they were doing when they first came out. But it was quite a monumental album, in my opinion. Let's see. And then she hired a junkie to kill me. Yeah, thrash. That is a big conspiracy, right? Regarding Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain, that she was actually responsible for his death. Like, I don't know, man. It's weird when you get into these conspiracy theories and you start listening to the stories, like people actually explaining why they think that, and they really go in depth, and it really gets you thinking sometimes. Like, as far-fetched as that might be, there's like a little bit of like doubt there that says, yeah, that makes sense, maybe, but I'm not accusing her of doing that or anything like that. But I'm just saying, it's been said, and there's some pretty good conspiracy theorists out there that have laid it out pretty good. It's kind of weird. Let me see. Frances Bean. Yeah, not Johnny Bean. Frances Bean is their daughter's name, right? Is Courtney's daughter, I think. I'm not up on the whole Nirvana, and I was a fan of the 90s stuff, but not a huge fan like I was for the 80s bands and the 70s bands. I was more in that era as far as music. When the 90s came, I liked some of it. I liked Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Nirvana, some, not all. I didn't like go crazy over it like a lot of folks did. But, and a lot of those bands like the Weezer and even Pearl Jam to an extent, I like it, but I wasn't completely like drawn into them and like became a huge fan or anything of that nature. But it's just preference. That's all. There's nothing wrong with those bands. It's just sometimes you connect more with a certain style than another. And that, for me, the 90s were so for me. Nirvana killed my career. And yeah, that's what happened when Nirvana came out. A lot of these 80s bands took a dive, and thrash still was there, but it definitely wasn't as big as what it was before that whole thing happened. That's for sure. But I think it survived well. I think when you see bands like Metallica and Megadeth and Slayer until up recently were still out there doing their thing and getting a lot of people coming out to see them live. And so I think it did well, in my opinion, to stand up to the whole 90s thing and stay relevant to an extent, I suppose. Testament's still out there, and Testament was a huge band back in 86, 87, 88. I loved that band, man. I thought they were awesome. Like Practice What You Preach, that album, I was all over that. Hole Has No Reason to Live, Brian S. says. Yeah, I liked a few of their songs, but I never really got into them. At least we know Hillary is a Hillary? I don't know about that. Could be. I shared a live set of Weezer from New Year's Eve 1999 to 2000. Tom says, have you heard the board mixtapes of Courtney trying to sing? Apparently it was a sound guy she pissed off who posted it. Wow. Yeah. I can only imagine what that sounds like. Interesting. That's the thing now, right? You can find all these back behind the scenes stuff, and to really see what somebody sounds like before they went through the whole processing thing of getting their voice and their pitches and everything correct. So you never know what's going to be out there on the internet. But thrash is back, baby. Yeah, well, I hope so. More metal. Yeah, Megadeth is I think they were touring in Czech or Finland or in that area just this month, and I'm glad that Dave Mustaine is, I think he said that he is cancer-free, which is awesome if that's the case, and they're out there playing, and they're as good as they ever been, and great band. And he had quite the struggles, but he did it. So we're at 7:51. I don't think I've got any more news in the thing. Next week, what do I got going on next week? Well, this week is completely busy with that studio build. So if you're interested in seeing photos and seeing how that goes, check out my Facebook and I'll post some stuff on there. All right, microphone here. And other than that, what am I doing for videos this week? I might record something on the weekend if I get a chance, if I can get some free time. I've gotten back to recording the originals and getting back to work on that. It sucks because some of the songs that I had recorded and they weren't completely done. I have to go back and learn some of them because I recorded them months ago and now I listen back to them. I'm like, oh yeah, what was this part I was doing? And so it's I've got to get back into that to really dive deep. And the other thing is, will I have a singer or will it be guitar based only? I don't know, because finding a singer for your original sometimes it's difficult. So that's on the agenda of that. I did shoot some video on the weekend of the motorcycle show, but I don't think I'm going to do anything with it because I already posted a motorcycle show video earlier in January at another show that I attended. So I don't know. Maybe I don't think I'll post anything with that. Metalhead Hippie says, any fuzz vids coming? I don't use fuzz, to be honest with you. I mean, there's fuzz built into the Helix, and I've never really. I should experiment with it more. It's not something that I've ever really gotten into as far as effects. I like distortion pedals and overdrive pedals and that nature, but fuzz, never really played with it too much. But not something I'm opposed to, for sure. Make sure you lay YouTube licensing on your original music to avoid copyright claims. Yeah, I know. I already get copyright claims on music that I own because if anytime I play a Smeer song, which is my old band I wrote all that music, but because we published it through CD Baby back in the day, and we had 2 independent record companies working with us when we recorded those albums, they published it as well, but they don't own any of the publishing or anything. I own that, and it's fine because I get the claim and it says you played a Smeer song, which is my song, and you're not going to be able to monetize. And the money, if you get any money from ad revenue or anything of that nature, it'll go to CD Baby. What CD Baby does is send it to me. So it's just basically a big circle, but you still get the stupid copyrights, right? What I'm going to do moving forward, anything I release that is my own stuff, let's say through my originals that I'm recording now, will all be done through DistroKid. DistroKid is a great service if any of you are out there that are making original music and you want to publish it and you want to put it on iTunes or any streaming services, or you want to use it in your YouTube videos, or you don't want anybody else to use your music in YouTube videos, you want to get paid for it like you would, just use a DistroKid. It's a great option. I think it is $99 a year for unlimited upload. So if you record an album or whatever, you've got 10 songs, you can put it all there, and they take care of all that stuff. You have an account and they publish it in all the places that it goes, and every time you get a play or any type of revenue, it'll come back to you. And I think they might take up 1.5% or something, like really, really low. It's a lot better than CD Baby or these other places that I've used. So moving forward, that's what I'm going to do. And I think you can upload like artwork and all kinds of cool stuff. So definitely check out DistroKid if you're into publishing your own music or you're recording your originals. That's the way that I'm going to go moving forward. And that way, I don't have to deal with copyright things. Like, even though I deal with it now with Smeer, it doesn't affect me because, like I said, if there's any revenue coming to it, it'll still come to me. But CD Baby will get it and then they'll put it in my account. My teacher uses that. Things, yeah, a lot of folks are using that DistroKid service. I think it's a great service, and from what I've heard, people like even Rhett Shull and some bigger artists out there that are, have a good following and stuff are all using it. So if they can speak highly of it and they've used it and they've had good results, I don't have a problem recommending it and using it myself. So yeah, so Thrash knows about it too. He's saying here. It's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the way to go, especially this day and age when you want to publish your own music. You don't need a record company and all that stuff. I mean, if you put your music out there and you get discovered and you get an offer from a music company or something like that, if they can help you in marketing and stuff, but never sign away your publishing rights. I'm glad I never did that, because one of the studios we were recording at when we recorded our first album, the producer wanted to have publishing rights and all kinds of stuff, and he was giving us studio time for free, and he wanted to work a deal. And I'm glad, looking back at that now, which is over 15 years ago, that I didn't go for that. As attractive as that was for a guy like myself that was going into a studio that was a professional big studio that were offering to pay for the whole session and everything and just have a piece of the publishing. As attractive as that deal was, I'm very happy that I passed on that and just paid the studio time and kept all my publishing and my rights, because I don't make a lot of money with Smear or the music or whatever, my originals, but I do get stuff for it. Like every quarter I get, it could be $100 or whatever from, if it's played on Spotify or if people download it on iTunes or whatever, or Apple Music, all that, it gets added up. But I get that, and it's not really because it's a lot of money or anything. It's just, it's still, I retain the rights, so I can tell people if they want to use it. If somebody uses it in something that I'm not for or whatever, I can decide not to have that happen. And also licensing deals. I've had a couple of licensing deals where somebody wanted to put it into a movie. We've had a couple of movies back in Europe, and there was actually, believe it or not, a motocross video that they published 10 years ago they needed music for. So there's a company out of LA that I work with that does that. So I control all that stuff. If I had signed off those rights back then, and I would have given my publishing to the producer or whoever was working at the studio at the time, they would control that. They would make those decisions. It's not really about the money that you receive for licensing your music. Sometimes it's the decision to license the music for that purpose, for any purpose. Like, I don't want my music associated with, some I don't know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it could be something completely that I'm completely against or whatever, and I would have no say in it because I wouldn't own the publishing. So that's one thing I'm glad I was had a little bit of a moment back then that I made that decision. Let's see, what do we got? So we got only a few minutes left. If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat and I will get to them. If not, we will wind her down. Let's see. I might have missed a few things, but I think I've been pretty up on the chat tonight. I've been okay. Thrash Metal says it's $50 for a legacy license beyond your lifetime. Oh, okay. Yeah, DistroKid is really good. I mean, I don't know, like it could be 10 years from now that if that service goes down or whatever, but I think you still retain all your rights. Cool. Yeah, Brad, it's yours and that's what counts. So keep your rights if you can. What is the capital of Syria? I have no idea. How's a Line 6 Pod HD 500X? I've never tried the Line 6 Pod HD 500X, but in my opinion, I would definitely, if I'm looking at buying something like a new effects processor or a new modeling unit, I would probably go with the newest generation of Helix, Stomp, Fractal, all that stuff, the newer generation of that. Pod HD 500X is older technology. So I don't know. And with the new Pod Go that's coming out, I think it's coming out in a few weeks in all the stores. It was announced at NAMM and I had a chance to see it and look at it and play with it a little bit. It's a great unit. And I mean, I would go that route before I would go with an HD 500X. And it's not that expensive. I think in the US it might be $400 or $500 for the Pod Go. But you could get an HX Stomp, or this generation of processors is the way that I would go instead of going. Not that there's anything wrong with the HD 500X, but it's just older technology. And if you want to kind of be up to date. I would definitely go with a little different there. Oh, what the hell? I'm getting a phone call. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. Did you guys hear the phone? I'm just. You must have heard it. It must have come through the system because when I play music through my phone, it comes through there. But let's see. Jeff Miller. Everyone turns around to pick up their phone. That's awesome. That's awesome. Bill collector. No, it's not a bill collector. But I get, if I don't know the number, I never answer it because there's so many friggin' like telemarketers and shit that they're not supposed to call. They have a law in Canada that, you know, that's blocked or everything, but they still get through. Viagra rep. maybe. It's not me calling. Yeah, if it's one of you calling me, I should try that one day. Get one of you guys to call me so I can put you guys on the air. That'd be cool. I'll try that someday. We heard it. Okay. Well, just if you heard it, it was my phone, not yours. So don't worry about it. You're all good. So with that being said, it is 8:03. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm so happy that the internet stayed with us, even though the camera in the beginning froze, but that was just a camera issue. I'll have to sort that out when I get a little bit of time here. But as far as the internet, we seem to be back in business where that is concerned. It's not the best internet, but at least it was up and running all night. So that's the good thing. So, yeah, next Monday night, regular time, we'll have another show. I might go live again this week. I don't know, depending on the schedule. I've got a crazy week ahead, so who knows where I'll be. If you see me live and you want to jump in, and we'll do some cool stuff. And if I release a video, obviously you'll get the notification. If you're subscribed, definitely hit that bell button so that you do get a notification if it's something you want to see. Camera worked over half the song. Well, that's good. I don't know what the hell's going on with that camera, but yeah, Wolverine, if you did send me an email, make sure send me that email because I need to, I'll forget if you don't. So, and I'll get that preset over to you. So until next time, I hope you guys have a great week. You get to play some guitar. If you're posting on YouTube videos, I'll check them out, and I'll see you in the chats and all that fun stuff. All right. Keep safe, play some guitar, and we will talk to you soon, if not next week, sometime during the week. All right. Take care, folks.